Afternoon, everybody. The weather outside is pants and yeah, raining quite heavily. A bit of wind. I managed to get out and do a little harbour tour this morning. Very beautiful. Brixham's still beautiful in the rain. It's beautiful in any sorts of weather, to be quite honest. And I've come home and I'm looking at this amazing bit of history that I've got in front of me. So some of you know that I've been given a book to borrow to look over, and it involves anything of the buildings or the buildings of buildings in Brixham's streets, sewers, and stuff like that, dated from pretty much 1898 through to 1901 or November 1901, so nearly 1902, and everything that happened within the town back then was recorded by hand in this book. So it could have been anything to building a wall, to putting sewers in, to making alterations to particular iron railings, etc., etc., even down to changing some urinals that happen to be on the fish market. There's also a bit in there that I didn't know about, which I've read through, which I'll get on later on through the next few days, is a bit why certain roads were called what they are. We talked about Gillard Road last time and why that was called Gillard Road, but I found a bit in there about Mr. Apter, who where the road in Brixham, Apter's Hill, I presume was named after him, because he seemed to live on that section of Brixham. And there was a gentleman wanting to do some sort of building, and he had to get Mr. Apter's permission to build a boundary wall or something else like that. But I'll get to that later on. But what I want to concentrate on really are the roads that have been built in Brixham. Some of them that I'm going to what I'll name are very well known. You'll know the names of these roads. But the amazing thing is, back in 1899 in Brixham, it gives you the exact cost of how much these roads cost to build, paving slabs, etc., etc. What I'm going to try and do as well, while I'm going to on this video, is compare the prices of from then of what it cost to build then to what it would cost to build now. I'm basically just going to see if I can convert the amount of money that was here back in 1899 to the modern day world equivalent. But I'm just going to, it's going to probably be a bit long-winded video, but it's going to be very interesting, especially if you're interested in Brixham history and how things were recorded, etc., etc. I'm not going to go like right into it. I'm just going to pick out certain bits, but the main bit I'm going to concentrate on are the particular roads in Brixham and how much they cost to build. But there's a section in here where a steamroller was actually hired to make these roads, and there was a particular bit in here where the one of the guys on the steamroller was actually relieved of duty due to his condition being totally unfit for the work upon they were engaged in. So I'm just going to quickly read this letter that has been presented to the council. And at that council, it was actually held in Town Hall. And in the council, the head of the council at the time was a Mr. J.L. Hazelwood. And attending was a Mr. W.J. Sanders and a Mr. J. Williams. And that it commences as the surveyor stated that he had that morning been compelled to order the driver and flagman connected with the steamroller to stop work in consequence of them being in a condition totally unfit for the work upon they were engaged, and moreover he felt this was the only course to take when the safety not only of the public but also of their property was endangered, and he now asked for the instructions of the committee thereon. The clerk was directed to notify the directors of Devon Traction Company of the circumstances and the chairman was asked to call the men's attention to the grave consequences which might have ensued by reason of their misconduct. So basically, it sounds like the flagman, who was also connected with the steamroller, plus the driver, was sacked on the 8th of February 1899. So there's two particular roads that seem to have had quite a bit of work, or seem to have been the main attention of the Roads Committee back in 1899. And it sounded like it needed some gullies put in and some sort of drainage, etc., etc. But one of them was Middle Street, and the other one was Victoria Road off of Berryhead Road, if you know those roads. And at this meeting, Mr. Hazelwood was in the chair, and Mr. W.J. Braddon, a Mr. M. Davis, and a Mr. J.B. Williams. The committee visited Middle Street and Victoria Road and decided upon the various works of paving, relieving and channeling to be carried out, and instructed by the surveyor to prepare estimates of such works in order that they might be presented to the local government board inspector at the forthcoming inquiry into the loan proposed to borrow for street improvement purposes, with a view to their inclusion in the schedules already in the hands of the local government board. So basically, this is just a letter so they could get a cost of the roads to be built, so they could borrow some money to get these roads built. A letter was read from a Mr. W. Vickery calling attention to the unsatisfactory condition of Victoria Road, and asking that the steamroller might be employed with a view to the road being completed, and all going that in making the road in question, the council went below the foundation of his boundary wall, which was left in an unfinished state, and in digging a trench for the sewer, the workmen came so close to the corner of the boundary wall, and at the same time laid bare the foundations, that he felt sure by the look of the wall, and at present at the time it would certainly fall, and asking that asking that the attention might be given to it. The committee, having viewed the wall, instructed the surveyor to wait upon Mr. Vickery in reference to his complaint, and report to the next meeting of the committee. So basically, in a roundabout way, Victoria Road was in a pretty poor state, no water runoff and everything else. And it sounds like, from what I've just read, that the workmen actually got quite close to Mr. Vickery's boundary wall and actually uncovered some of the foundations of that wall. So I've now got to the section where it's they're trying to figure out costs of certain things to make road improvements in and around Brixham, because it seems back then all the roads were in a pretty poor state, as well as the drainage and things like that. And they were basically been asked from the last video to put together some costings on how much each road in Brixham would cost to improve or construct. And there is a total at the end, but what I'm going to do is go through each street, tell you how much it cost back then to build compared to the price that it would cost nowadays. I've managed to convert them all into pounds into 2024 from 1899. And the first one that pops up in this book is Middle Street. Right, and Middle Street has some Staffordshire blue curbing, 16 by 9 by 3 1/4. Heathfield buff paving bricks, 9 times 4.5, times 1 3/4. Devon limestone channeling, 12 inches wide, 276 yards of paving, 390 yards of curbing, 184 yards of channeling, which I presume is basically drains or, you know, the bits on the side of the road, paving, altering steps and gullies. So 276 yards of paving cost £58, 390 yards of curbing cost £49, 184 yards of channeling cost £29, paving, steps, gullies, etc. £7, amounting to the cost of £145. Now, you convert that, that's for Middle Street, right? You convert that into pounds nowadays, and I might be wrong, don't quote me on it, but I've just gone to Google and done a converter from 1899 to 2024 with the inflation rate, etc., etc. And it's given me a total, right? Wait for it. So it's £145 back then in the 28th of February, 1899, Middle Street, which is quite a well-known street in Brixham. £145 would today cost the council £22,350.36. That's a lot of money for a street. Now, we go on to Victoria Road. Victoria Road, so basically excavating and carriage, or is it carriage? Yeah, basically getting rid of it. 100 yards of 6-inch sewer with manholes and ventilation shaft, right? To excavate it costs £53. 100 yards of 6-inch sewer and manholes and ventilation shaft, 26. Retaining wall, excavating foundation and wheeling 40 cube yards and 70 cubic yards of rubble and masonry is £111. And £111 converted in today's money, this is Victoria Road, which is off of Berryhead Road. It's the very steep one before you go on to Wall Park Road. Back then cost £111, would cost the council today £17,875.24. So Middle Street would cost 22, nearly, let's say, just shy of 22.5 grand to build. And Victoria Road was just shy of 18 grand to get built back then, or in today's money. Freaking amazing. So I've come to the section now where it's a list of some very well-known roads in Brixham, probably some of the oldest roads in Brixham. There's 14 on here, 14 different roads, and it states the amount of work that needed to be done, the work that needed to be done, and expenditure on each kind of work in each street. And then the total cost of each street. So basically what I'm about to read out is these streets and how much they cost to build back then. I've also converted it into today's money to give you some sort of comparison to how much it would cost to build a street in today's money. It is quite eye-opening. And some of these streets that I'm about to read out are well known in the street. I'm going to try and tell you where these streets are within Brixham, so you get an idea when you're walking down, and you'd be like, oh my god, this street cost this much to build. So the first one in this list, because basically they've asked to borrow some money, right, which is that there is a total amount, and I've converted that as well, but they needed to draw up a list of works that needed to be done, cost of materials, and then put that forward to say, right, we need this money to make improvements to the streets in Brixham in 1899, because most of the streets, from what I gather, are in a pretty poor state. No drainage, no pavements, no things like that at all. So here we go. So the first street that pops up on this list is Drew Street, Drew Street, and it's the street that basically finishes off of Bolton Street. So David's Fish and Chip Shop, and then it goes up towards St Mary's. That there is Drew Street, right the way up past Three Elms, all the way up to, I think, to St Mary's Square. So it's quite a big long street, and it goes through the section at the bottom of Raybarn Road, which is called Great Gate, because that was the cut off from Fishtown to Cowtown. So the Drew Street runs right the way up. Land for widening the street. So basically, they needed to acquire land to widen Drew Street, and they needed to purchase this from a Mrs. Brewer or Mr. H. Brewer. Footways of concrete blocks, curbing of Staffordshire blue brick, and channeling of Devon limestone. In the total of those, the purchase price of the bit of land that they needed to purchase off of Mr. Brewer cost £40. Footways of concrete blocks cost £229, and curbing of Staffordshire blue rock cost £92, and the channeling of Devon limestone cost £136. In total, Drew Street back then in 1899 cost £499. £499 converted into today's money is £80,358.07. So Drew Street in today's money would have cost the council £80,358.07 with all of those bits and pieces. The next one is Milton Street, which is the next street up off of Drew Street. So it goes Drew Street into Milton Street. Footways of concrete blocks, £247. Curbing of Staffordshire blue brick, £107. And channeling of Devon limestone, £221. In total, Milton Street cost the council back then £576. Right? Converted in today's money would have cost the council in today's money £92,758.07. Nigh on, nearly, a few grand less, 100 grand to build Milton Street back then. That's quite a big street, and I think it was the most popular street at the time because there was quite a lot of people that, I mean, even the committee held meetings in Milton Street, and there was a lot of houses in Milton Street. But in today's money, £92,758.07, or in latter money, £576. I'm going to have to stop this bit and then go on to the next one. So now we've done Milton Street, we're on to Horspool Street. Now Horspool Street is, where can I say it is? So if you go up Milton Street and you go into St Mary's Square, up by the church, it is your first right-hand turn. And it goes down and then up the other side. That is Horspool Street. So you go up St Mary's Road and then turn off right. That is Horspool Street. Footways of concrete blocks, £51. Curbing of Staffordshire blue brick, £24. And the channeling of Devon limestone, £34. Back then, Horspool Street would have cost the council £110 to build or to improve. In today's money, Horspool Street would cost the council £17,714.20. New Road, which is the main road coming into Brixham. It probably went a different course back then, but the main road in Brixham, footways of concrete blocks, £116. Curbing of a Staffordshire brick, £34. Channel of Devon limestone, £42. New road back then in 1899 cost £193 to build or to make improvements to. In today's money, that is £31,080.38. That's New Road. That's what we have as the main road. And I think Milton Street back then was the main road for Brixham, but it's now, because obviously they were coming down over the top of the hill. And now our main road is New Road. So I've got a funny feeling, just at the price difference, because back then Milton Street was £576 to build and New Road was £193. looking at the amount of work that needed to be done to Milton Street, I would presume, don't quote me on it, that Milton Street was the main road in and out of Brixham back in 1899. So New Road was £193 back then. St Mary's Place, not too sure where that one is, but that's just needed a bit of channeling of Devon limestone and cost £2 to make arrangement to, and it was just Devon limestone, which comes to £322.08 just for channeling of some Devon limestone. And then we go to the other side of Brixham on the South Furston Road. South Furston Road needed some blue Staffordshire brick and footways of concrete blocks and channeling of Heathfield brick. Different type of brick they're using here. The Heathfield brick was £38, the concrete block 69, and the Staffordshire blue brick 47. Back then, that would have cost the council in 1899 £155 to build, which in today's money is £24,960. And then we drop down, or we go up, should I say, to North Furston Road. Again, they needed some curbing of Staffordshire blue brick, footways with concrete blocks, channeling of Heathfield bricks, totaling to the amount of £52, which in today's money would have cost them £8,377.99. Then we go on to Lower Manor Road, which is just down. So they've gone from North Furston Road, you've come on to South Furston Road, and then you're going to come down onto Lower Manor Road, which is basically the road that meets up with Church Street nowadays. So Lower Manor Road needed some concrete blocks and some Staffordshire blue brick, coming to the total of £48. And then in today's money, that would be £7,729. Then we come back up onto the other side of Brixham, onto Mount Pleasant Road, and they needed some concrete blocks, some Staffordshire blue bricks, some Chandler of Heathfield bricks, which come to the total amount of £187. And in today's money, Mount Pleasant Road would today cost the council, if they needed to build it from scratch with the materials that are provided on here, £30,000, £114.15. And then we jib back across to the other side to Overgang Road. And the Overgang Road, that's another famous road in Brixham because it's got that hairpin bend. So if you come off the main quay or the strand of the quay as you're coming along the quay towards the old fish market, you've got the fish market on your right hand side, and you're driving along, and then you go up and around the corner up towards Battery Gardens, right? That is Overgang Road. Overgang Road needed some footway concrete blocks, some curbing of Staffordshire blue brick, and some channeling of Devon limestone, totaling to the amount of £65, which in today's money would cost £10,467, quite a lot. And then we go back up to High Street West. Footways, curbing, channeling of brick, 31. That would have cost in today's money £4,992. And then we've got King Street. King Street is the one that runs the road that's got what used to have the Maritime, which basically, as you're coming down over Ranscombe and you hang a left, that is King Street, and you go down over the hill and you can see the north side of Brixham as you're coming down and looking over. You can see the quay and all of that lot. That's King Street as you're coming down over. It's the one that when the tourists arrive, they think they can fit two cars down, and you can't. So normally they meet in the middle, have a little bit of tiff-taff, and then one of them has to reverse out of the way. That is King Street, which basically brings you onto the strand of the quay by the Prince William statue. King Street, back then, with some blocks and some blue brick, cost £14 back then, which in today's money would be £2,254, right? And then we jig back up towards Cowtown, up to Castor Road. Castor Road with some blocks and some blue brick would cost £7 where is it? Oh, I didn't actually write that one down. So £7, so half of that. So you're probably looking at about 1,500 quid for Castor Road to have improvements done. Prospect Road, where's Prospect Road? I can't think where Prospect Road is. Prospect Road is off of Apters Hill. So if you're going up Station Hill, Prospect, I think, is just off of there. I think. Very small little road. Prospect there. They needed some concrete blocks done, some blue brick channeling of some Heathfield brick. Totaling cost of £62, which in today's money would be £9,984. In total, right, the total amount that it comes to for all of those streets, for Drew Street, Milton Street, Horspool Street, New Road, St Mary's, South Fursham, North Fursham, Lower Manor, Ranscombe Road, Mount Pleasant, Overgang, Higher Street East, King Street, Castor Road and Prospect Road are all roads that needed some major improvements done. And with the listings and the materials needed, they needed to borrow £2,095, right? Which, in today's money, is £337,000, £375 and 6 pence. £337,375. That's over £250,000 to have 14 roads built. Just say that again. £2,095 converted in today's money would cost the council to rectify or to improve the roads within Brixham in 1899, £337,375. I didn't even say that right. I'm just getting muddled up. But yeah, well over £250,000 to have those roads improved. Mental. There you go. It's just mind-boggling. £337,375. Jeez. Thank you for today's history lesson. We will commence this again maybe in a few days. Cheers and get on.